once said that the most profound spiritual teachings are found in the silence. Words don't do it justice. So when we do that meditation, you can literally make the most progress on your spiritual path, doing nothing. I often ask, why do we always have to do something? Fill our days with doing instead of being. And that suggests maybe every day we could spend a bit of time in meditation, like a quiet meditation. Jesus once said, go into your closet. No one else hangs out in your closet. It's got to be pretty quiet there. And then, what I found personally, the most powerful spiritual practices have been given to me by the great masters. Those beings who are already beyond. When you get initiated into that powerful tradition and you use those practices, they ignite your soul. That's the helpfulness of learning from a master. It speeds up the spiritual path significantly if you take those practices seriously. That's why I started my path back in 2006, chasing after saints. Has anyone done that before? So that's what I done, because I knew that if I wanted to find God, I would want to learn from the best. Don't you think if you want to become an expert in any field, then find the supreme teacher in that field and study from them. You will progress far more quickly. They'll give you all the secrets. That's what I learned about meditation and spirituality. Then in 2008, I went to New York City to go to a retreat with Sri Swami Purna Maharaj, a great yogi from the high Himalayas. I lit a candle back here for him, created a little altar, since he is my inspiration for being with you today and sharing this. After visiting all these other saints and then coming to meet him, before he walked into the room, I was really stunned by the energy, and the presence had never come across anything like that. Overwhelmed. And he immediately became my teacher. I knew this is the one that would guide me across the ocean of my own mind. The only cause of our suffering is our mind. You realize that, right? Mind says good or bad. Bad equals suffering, means ouch, pain, hurt, grief, sorrow, anger, all that. Mind creates that. But you can transform your mind into a world of bliss and sweetness and love that is never ending. I'm interested in that. And that is what he has been teaching me since 2008. So I wondered if he was going to kind of give me some guidance, specific guidance about what to do in life, something. But he didn't. You just, here's some mantras, go chant those, here's some meditations, go do those, and let's just see what happens. An Indian's going on. So I did them, really took them to heart. By the way, that's why I share a lot of mantras with you, because I really have taken these words to heart, and they've been powerful for myself, for my own inner transformation as well as others. Then in 2012, I had what you would call a darshan with him, a holy meeting with a holy being, in Miami, Florida, a retreat. He brought me in. It was totally a surprise to me. I had no plans. He brought me in and he talked to me. He talked really, for 3 minutes. And in that 3-minute conversation, he asked me to renounce everything. At that time I was running a business, very successful, very comfortable, easy life. I was on the road to the American dream, really. And I left everything. Went home to Austin, Texas, and divested myself of everything I had. Sold the business, sold my car, had a little garage sale in my apartment, gave away the majority of my stuff. I had a classical guitar from Spain, and a friend of mine came to my apartment. He was a homeless guy, lived under a bridge. I brought him to my apartment every so often when it was cold in Austin, and he came over, and I said, "You can have anything you want." And then he looked at the guitar, he said, "Are you going to take that?" I said, "It's yours." So after that, I got a van, put a bed in a van, and then set off on the road. I called my van, the name's Persistence. Now, Persistence broke down 11 times before I actually managed to get out of Austin. So how ironic that I called her Persistence. But she had an abandoned it, which was nice. So I was able to, as I was traveling from city to city, sharing these gatherings according to his instruction. Well, I was able to sleep in the van at truck stops and campgrounds and whatever. And then after a while, I said, I have to change something here. It's pretty uncomfortable, like living in campsites and in truck stops. I need help. So I started asking for help. People in a community who might want to house me or help out somehow. And guess what happened? Bev. I came into town and someone helped me. And so it's been really sweet. Just because I love connecting with the community, like connecting with someone in the community as opposed to just being in a hotel, and it's kind of cold to do that. So, and I've been kind of traveling off and on over the past 12 years, just going from place to place and sharing not just the talks, but the gatherings as well. And the gatherings, at least according to the ancient Indian tradition, are called satsang. Satsang. Sat means truth. Sang means gathering. So you gather together wanting to attune to spiritual energy. And normally, in the ancient Indian tradition, that satsang is held with a spiritual master. And normally, you'd probably have to go pretty high into the Himalayas to find a master. They're somewhere in a cave, probably. I mean, it takes an enormous amount of effort to get to them, usually. I'm not saying that I'm a master, far be it. But the energy of the master comes through because my mission is blessed. So I'm simply sharing those teachings, which are invisible. It's not the words. It's the feeling underneath that starts to percolate through your system, all your energy channels, your energy centers, your chakras, your aura. The cells of your body get affected by the light of satsang. Creates a profound transformation within the being. And it helps a person to get closer to the soul. That's the purpose of satsang. It's really the only reason I'm here and I'm doing anything is sharing that energy. One of the topic today that I was going to focus on is awakening the heart. And so, when you awaken your heart, you become more childlike. But life is more, I'm just going to kind of use this word, it's cute. Like things are sweet. It's more light, not so serious. And almost like looking a little bit more through a child's eyes when the heart is open. A lot of people, when they get older, their shoulders start to sag and, kind of hunched over. And then it's harder and harder to smile. Sometimes people become grumpy, all that stuff. I said, I don't want that. I want to become happier, more radiant every day. So I'll tell you, since I began really seriously my spiritual path, I've been happier and happier, and I felt younger and younger. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, oh my gosh, Brian is such a different person. And so, this awakening of the heart is, to me, a key to the kingdom of heaven, if you want to call it that, or the kingdom of God. How do you become a child, so you enter into that kingdom. This heart is the final destination of consciousness. It's an interesting esoteric concept. You have a sense of I. I'm here sitting somewhere listening to someone. I'm this body. That is a root consciousness. It's a root chakra consciousness. So the whole spiritual path is about raising your I. Some people call it as kundalini. Maybe you've heard the word. As it rises up the spine into higher dimensions of consciousness, all the way to the crown, there is a realization of I am. I am that I am, or I am everything. But the final destination of that I sense, or that kundalini, enters into the heart. And when it enters into the heart, it clears away all, we'll call them karmas, if you want to call them karmas, issues. Karmas are like any feeling of separation from God. That's a karma. So Kundalini enters there, starts to clear away everything that is not in alignment with divinity. And then the heart becomes like a sun. I often call my path as the sunlit path. Walking through sunlight. I thought maybe that's why I intuitively wear this color. And so, and when that heart is so wide, it just embraces everyone as a part of my own self. So this is all me. And that's the ultimate compassion, when there's a knowing that everyone and everything is me. The great me with a capital M. spiritual path really is, you're free and clear, you're done. You're done. Then there's no need for the incarnation of birth, death, life to continue on. There's no, you've merged with the one. There's no more identification with the individual entity. That cycle is done. Freedom. People call it moksha. Moksha, that word moksha. Then if a soul kind of comes down onto earth, they're simply a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is someone who's coming to help other people to break out of the muck of their own mind. That's a bodhisattva. They don't need to do any work on themselves. They're already complete as they are. So you could say that Swami Purna also is one of those bodhisattvas that is coming down into this really dense human existence in order to reach out a helping hand to assist people in raising their consciousness. Thank God we have those beings assisting. Some similar beings that have come down to earth. Buddha, Christ, Ram, Krishna, these great avatars. They didn't need to, but people were praying for some, if you want to call it savior, to help. Because this mind is so difficult to conquer. Think about how many thoughts we have a day. An enlightened being has no thought. They are a divine windsock. Think about that idea. The universe is running the body and the mind and everything. The universe is running it, no longer the individual. A whole different state of consciousness, so beyond, it's incomprehensible for a human being to understand what that kind of presence is. Because they know everything as God. We still feel here in a location somewhere, listening to someone, right? A chasm of a difference. So my hope is over time, as people get exposed to this powerful presence, if you want to call it, that it catalyzes your upliftment and your deeper connection with your own inner divinity. It's an awakening. And through that, you might experience beautiful states of love and joy and peace, so much so that you'll be crying and wondering how you even deserved this. That's what I mean by powerful. Overwhelming love. You can barely stand it. That's why you kind of have to be prepared. You have to cleanse yourself first to empty your cup, so to speak, in order to be filled with the divine grace. There's no other way. We have to see our shadow side and work on that. Otherwise, who cares how much light you're exposed to? There's no room for it to arise. You see what I'm saying? One has to work on oneself psychologically and watch one's reactions and try to purify one's intentions. So those are the two aspects, major aspects of spirituality, is purification and illumination. Purification, transforming darkness, purifying darkness. Illumination, light arising, becoming like a sun, and ultimately realizing your consciousness as infinite. So, since you did mention playing one more song, if we have time, I'll play one more before I conclude. I just feel like the mantras are so filled with grace that it's really helpful to kind of take a bath in that energy, especially since the mantras come from Swami Purna, right? They're a different quality than, we'll say, so-called normal mantras. Right? I did a Google search and I found a mantra or something. Somehow, when the master is behind it, it's just a whole different frequency. And it's hard to explain, that's much more esoteric. But just know that when you chant the mantra, you're really purifying yourself on a deep level. Subconscious and unconscious mind gets relieved of all its heaviness. And you can feel it. You can feel it just being open enough to sense it.